Let's talk about the future. We're looking ahead to 2026, and there are two massive, and I mean massive, shifts happening in digital content right now. If you want anyone to see the stuff you're making in the near future, you're going to need a whole new playbook. So let's dive right in. First, let's just get right to it. The big fear that pretty much every marketer, every content creator has right now. You're putting in the work, you're making great stuff, but is it just vanishing into the void? Is anyone actually seeing it? Because the ground is literally shifting under our feet. And here's the number that should really make you sit up and pay attention. According to some great research from Moz, a staggering 60% of Google searches are now zero-click. Think about that. That means Google's own AI is scraping information from websites like yours, creating its own answer, and putting it right on the results page. People get what they need, and they never ever have to click on your link. If you're not the source for that AI-generated answer, you might as well be invisible. Okay, so while all of that is going on, there's this other huge force at play. New federal rules are coming down the pike that say all digital content must be accessible to everyone, and that includes people with disabilities. And these aren't just polite suggestions, folks. We're talking about real legal requirements with some very firm deadlines. So you've got AI making your content harder to find, and you've got new laws making it harder to publish. It sounds like a total nightmare, right? Two huge, separate problems coming at you from both sides. But what if they aren't separate at all? What if solving for one of them actually, and kind of beautifully, solves for the other? So first, let's all agree on something. The old rules are completely broken. To really get a handle on the new solution, we have to accept that the SEO and content tricks that worked even just a couple of years ago, they're obsolete. They're done. And it's all thanks to those two big forces we just talked about. I mean, the shift is just fundamental. Over on the left, you've got the old way of doing things. It was all about gaming the system, right? Keyword stuffing, weird backlink schemes. But now, look at the right. AI-driven search is so much more sophisticated. It's not looking for keywords, it's looking for meaning. It wants to understand context, see how your topics are clustered, and gauge your real authority. And while that AI revolution is happening, this legal clock is ticking, loudly. You can see it right here. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, there are hard deadlines in 2026 and 2027 for websites to become accessible. This isn't some abstract idea for the future. It is an urgent legal reality that is right around the corner. And this is where it all comes together. This is the big aha moment of this whole thing. It turns out the demands of the AI algorithms and the requirements for digital accessibility, they aren't pulling you in opposite directions. Not at all. In fact, they have converged on the exact same set of principles. It's really kind of amazing. So let's just listen to what the machines are asking for. AI models, whether it's Google Search or ChatGPT, they are hungry. They're hungry for content that is credible, that is well-structured, and that is easy to verify. They need to understand the logic and the hierarchy of your information to trust you as a source. Now, hold that thought and look at what accessibility standards require. The language, it's almost identical. For content to be accessible, it has to be, you guessed it, understandable and predictable. It needs a logical structure so that things like screen readers can navigate it effectively for users. And this right here is the absolute key takeaway. The single best way to optimize your content for an AI is to create content that is perfectly clear, logical, and accessible for all humans. It's a total paradigm shift. When you put people first, you automatically give the machines exactly what they need. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? This brings us to the new playbook, and part one is all about thinking of structure as a core part of your strategy. How you build your page isn't just a design choice anymore, it's absolutely critical for being seen. This slide really lays out the two-for-one benefit perfectly. When you use semantic HTML, which is just a fancy way of saying you use the right code for the right job, like H1 tags for main titles and list tags for actual lists, you're creating a clear blueprint. AI uses that blueprint to understand your content's context. And here's the magic part. A person using a screen reader relies on that exact same blueprint to navigate your page. They're both reading the same map. All right, so that's the structure, the skeleton of your content. The next part of the playbook is about the writing itself. The words, the images, the good stuff. And honestly, there is no better example of this human-first principle in action than alt text for images. For years, a lot of us treated alt text as just another place to stuff some keywords for SEO, right? But its true purpose, its real purpose, is to describe an image for someone who can't see it. And what's so cool is that when you do that job well, you also give search engines the rich context they are desperate for. Let's make this super clear with an example from the VA's own guidelines. Bad alt text, 3 people talking. I mean, come on, that's lazy. It's useless to a human and it's useless to an AI. But now, look at the good example. VA nurse explaining discharge instructions to a veteran and family member. Bam! Suddenly, you have context, you have roles, you have action. That is meaningful, useful information. So, the principles are actually pretty simple. Keep it short, but focus on the purpose of the image. What is it trying to communicate? And you can totally skip phrases like image of. A screen reader already announces that it's an image. And of course, if there's any important text in that image, you gotta make sure you write it out in the alt text. You're serving both audiences at the exact same time. And look, this isn't just about alt text. This same logic, this unified strategy, it applies everywhere. When you use clear, plain language, you help people with cognitive disabilities, and you give AI better signals about user intent. When you add captions to your videos, you make them accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing, and you make all that spoken content crawlable and searchable for AI. It's the same winning move over and over again. So let's bring it all home. This is it. This is your final unified playbook, the strategy that's going to get your content seen, understood, and valued in 2026 and well beyond. Just look at how beautifully this all connects in one place. You use good structure, AI gets the context, and screen readers get a clear roadmap. You write descriptive alt text, you show up in image search, and you help visually impaired users. See what's happening here? It's not double the work. It's one smart set of actions with double the impact. For years, probably decades, content creators have felt torn by this exact question. Do we write for the algorithm? Do we optimize for the machine? Or do we write for our human audience? It has always felt like we had to choose, like it was a trade-off. But the great unification is here. The single most effective, powerful way to be seen by the machines is to create content that is profoundly human-centric, clear, and accessible to everyone. The trade-off is over. Create for people, and the machines will follow.